In this video, I'm going to show you guys how I painted the base on the Chaos Knight Desecrator.
Then the entirety of the cosmos is accessible to each and every individual's mind, connecting to the great mind, the great spirit.
Welcome back to the channel, collectors. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys the tips and tricks of how I painted the Chaos Knight Desecrator base. This video is part of a greater series of videos where I paint part by part the Chaos Knight Desecrator, so I hope you go check it out. The links will be in the description below. So in the previous video, I've constructed the Chaos Knight Desecrator base, creating a very narrative plane crash, and in this video, we're going to learn how to paint it. So if you are ready, let us begin.
Alright, so this is the result of what we have done in the previous video. If you have not watched the previous video, please go check it out. Right here, I'm just doing an overbrush of Joe Sonia raw umber to create more variations in color. At this stage, you want to do it randomly also, and with a thin layer you can create a lot of variation on this base to create more interest. So gradually I'm adding in a little bit of German camo beige to create some variation. Right now I'm adding in Vallejo Pigments Light Sienna. Oops, just a little bit too much there. And I'm gonna use this as a sort of brush on to create some desert dust effect right here. So at this stage, I'm just dabbing the pigment and just brushing it on. Because the pigment is really fine, at this scale it would register as sand and dirt. And this is the intended effect. Previously we have already done the textures with texture paste that will register as rocks and large clumps of dirt. You want a finer grit in pigment to create this sand effect. Right now I'm adding in a little bit of water with light sienna to create a wash. So this light sienna wash will get into the crevices and dry very interestingly. I will dry the base and you guys can see the effect in just a little bit. Alright, so you can see right here, the pigment has already been dried, and because the pigment is pooling, it's looking very interesting. Right now I'm using Strachan Green to start to base coat the armor plates on the model. Using an overbrush method, I'm creating streaks and striations on the crashed armor panels on this plane. If you want a refresher of how to do the overbrush technique, you should check out our overbrushing video. Links will be in the description. So at this point of time, I'm making extra effort to make sure that this green paint does not touch any part of the base to create some degree of material separation. Just painting in all the armor panels which I've installed onto this base. A big benefit of this overbrush technique on this base is that it really creates this worn metal look, and the base has already been painted in dark brown, so it suggests that there is some dirt being trapped in the shadows. Right now, with a bit of sponge, a bit of tweezer, and German camo beige, what we're going to be doing is some light chipping on these green surfaces we have just painted previously. You want to make sure that there is no excess paint on the sponge, and you want to lightly sponge all the corners to reveal the primer underneath this green paint. A little fun fact for everybody is that the paint application process for armor, a surface layer of primer will have to go on to the metal surface before the green paint is applied on. So what this sponging suggests is that the paint has been scraped off, revealing the lighter colored primer on the metal surface. And this also adds a lot of visual interest because the higher value creates the form and shape which identifies and distinguishes how the armor panels are shaped. You want to make sure that this chipping is also as irregular as possible, so in areas that have higher probability of chipping, such as the corners, have more chipping, whereas the middle areas with less contact with other surfaces tend to have less chipping. I'm emphasizing the corners a lot more to create more chipping on these corners. Once you've done with the corners, you can go to the middle of the armor panel to create some light random chipping, as you guys can see when I'm doing right here. So now that the chipping has been done, I'm going in with a very fine tip brush and I'm using Vinox hide. I'm hand painting in the chips. So what this suggests is that under the primer, the metal surface has been revealed, and these metal surface, because it's exposed to the environment, are being weathered and rusted. So that's why rust is being shown in these areas. We want to paint these areas in between areas with high wear and tear to suggest that rust is present in these areas. So now I'm going to be painting in the bullet holes. I'm going to be using Vallejo model color blue grey pale for a base coat right here. Okay, so now with the same color blue grey pale, I'm going to be overbrushing the steel areas. If you want a refresher of how I paint the steel areas, you can always check out how we painted the rusty steel pipe videos, where the links will be in the description. or you can check out the other videos of how I painted the Chaos Knight Desecrator. At this point of time, it's a good time to check if you have liked and subscribed the video, because this will really help our channel out. And I hope you are finding this really useful. So just picking out the metal bits from the Radio Man's backpack. And picking out the rest of the steel areas. Okay, so now I'm using a bit of Green Stuff World Medium Rust liquid pigment to just wash over the steel areas to create some degree of weathering. I'm also going to be placing this a little bit on the base. So this Green Stuff World liquid pigment has been thinned down with water so that it's a lot more transparent. And I like how these liquid pigments pool in the crevices to create a nice rusty weathered effect. So now that the pigments are dried, I'm also going to be placing a little bit of this reddish pigment on the base to suggest that once the metal has rusted, some of the rusty water has accumulated on the ground next to this fallen aircraft. Now I'm using Vallejo watercolor ivory to line the bullet holes to pick out some of the raised details on these bullet holes on the plane. Using the same color, I'm also picking up on some of the details to increase the readability of the steel parts on this crash plane. Next, I'm going to be doing a little bit of streaking. So using the liquid pigments, I'm also going to be doing some streaking right here. Currently I'm using a bit of light rust from Green Stuff World to create this streaking effect. And you can see the final result in just a little bit. So here we have it, the final result. There is some slight variation because we painted on the lighting effects using the airbrush, but by and large, this is what you should end up with.
So that is how I painted the Chaos Knight Desecrator base. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. So I'm very excited to tell you guys that in the next video, I will be revealing my Chaos Knight Rampager. Here's a little preview for you guys right now. I'd like to take the time to thank my patrons for allowing me to do this. Because of the help and support of my patrons, I'm able to paint and record this awesome content for all you guys so that we get to become better miniature painters together. I hope you can head on to our Patreon page and become a patron today. For as little as $1, you get to see my finished works before anyone else in this world. The Patreon exclusive video is the gold non-metallic metal for the Chaos Knight Desecrator, and I hope that you will go check that out. However, if you can't become a patron, that's okay too. I'd like to appreciate your time for watching till the end. You can help us further by like and subscribing and hit the bell notification icon and all the other stuff because it really helps the channel grow. I hope to see you in the next video. See you.